Uh-oh. Japanese video game developers are starting to realize about the copes and seeds in regards to video game emulation.
Yes, I'm sure that's exactly what Japanese game developers are really concerned about right now. Japanese game developers, they get to the office, they sit down, look at their to-do list, and they're like, oh, okay, gotta, code this, design that. Ooh, I have to check in on the copes and seeds of PC gamers and emulation. Goody goody gumdrops, this is my favorite kind of day.
The completely false narrative from the West that emulation is completely legal is simply not even something that Japanese developers even really consider because
I'm really not sure why they would consider it if it's a Western law, if it's an American law, which it is, by the way. There's tons of legal precedent in the West that emulation, the act of emulating a game, that is perfectly legal. Different regions have different laws, which is why I'm not really sure why a Japanese developer would even concern themselves with this. And also, at the end of the day, the number of people emulating a game, like pirating a game and then emulating it versus buying it properly, the trade-off there is just not that high, which is why the majority of Japanese developers, I would imagine, don't give a shit about this, because they have better things to concern themselves with. And while I'm proud of you for actually making a thumbnail for this video, and I'm proud of you for actually looking into the camera in this video instead of just glancing off at the wall in the back of your house, I'm going to take a few issues here with, well, first of all, the title, quote, emulation has failed, how Nintendo has destroyed PC gaming, which is weird, because I emulate games all the time, and I am a PC gamer. I don't feel very destroyed in either regard there. I also see that you use this little thing, like this little speech from Gabe Newell, where he says, Nintendo emulators are banned on my platform, Gabe Newell. Well, yeah, of course emulators are banned on Steam. Like, why would Steam, a global storefront, support emulators? Like, you can just put emulators on Steam. Why would that be a thing that they do? If you're Valve in this situation and you're trying to keep a working relationship with all these different publishers, there's that reason why you wouldn't put emulators on your platform. But second of all, again, global platform, global storefront Steam is. Like, that's just asking for controversy. That's just asking for bad PR. It's like when they put Yuzu in the Steam Deck ad, and then they took that ad down and re-edited it without Yuzu. There's nothing illegal about Yuzu itself, but it might be seen as a bad look. And also, Valve and Steam are not PC gaming as a whole. I don't get my emulators through Steam. I never have gotten my emulators through Steam. Nobody does. And yet emulation persists. Would you look at that? Oh my god. Anyways, I'll let you continue. But consider this a 2 steps forward, 9 steps back situation.
it's so obviously not legal that it doesn't even really need to be discussed in their culture.
I love that. It's so obviously not legal when it literally is legal. Like, it's so obviously not legal, guys. We don't need to discuss it when it literally is legal. That's such a great form of argumentation. I'm correct, and I'm so correct that we don't even have to spend time on how correct I am. Let's move on. All that when you're literally wrong. I love it. It's one of my favorite things that you do, unironically. Please never stop.
Whenever the topic of emulation comes up, the conversation immediately becomes somewhat polarizing with
Yeah, I think that's a fair thing to say. Emulation is kind of a weird subject now, because on one hand, you have the camp that I fall into, where I think emulation is an overall good, because it allows you to preserve games past their storefront date. Storefront date? Their shelf life. What the fuck is a storefront date? Why did I say that? It allows games to live on past their shelf life. It allows games from previous console generations that have not been properly preserved, allows them to be preserved. It also allows the fans and the modding community and just the community of the games themselves to improve upon these games and let them breathe in a way they never could on their console hardware. I can play Super Smash Bros. Melee online with people with, like, rollback netcode and perfect matchmaking. That never would have happened if it stayed in Nintendo's hands. Not too long ago, I was playing God of War 1 and 2 from the PS2. Those games run incredibly on the, what is it, PC2X? PXC2, whatever the PS2 emulator is. That emulator cranks those games' performances up, and it's amazing. It looks so good, and it plays so smooth, much better than the PS2 native versions, and that wouldn't be possible without emulation. I'm experiencing these games in a way I never could before. and it's all because of emulation. But then on the other side of things, you have people say that emulation is just piracy, which emulation and piracy are not the same thing. They do go hand in hand a lot of the time, because a lot of the time people are pirating games to emulate them, but not all the time, which is why there's a distinction there. One is not inherently the other. And that really is the only real argument against emulation, is something piracy. To which I always respond, like, well, if there was no piracy, like, if people were just ripping their games legally, would you still not like emulation? And then the people who are against emulation a lot of the times are like, yeah, it's still bad. It's like, okay, why? It's like, because it is. So basically, when you say that the conversation around emulation is polarizing, basically, it's only polarizing between people who understand it and people who don't. Because once you do understand it, it's kind of hard to come up with reasons against it.
Supporters of emulation trying to gaslight critics of it that it's completely 100% legal, there's nothing wrong with it, I can pirate all the Nintendo games I want.
Okay, who's gaslighting now? You just said that the supporters of emulation, they say they can pirate all the Nintendo games they want. Then that's the argument for emulation. Motherfucker, that's not the argument.
And the reality is quite a bit different. In reality, dudes are going to prison.
Dudes? Just dudes? That's pretty sexist of you. Banned.
For emulating Nintendo games all the time.
Oh, dudes are going to prison for emulating Nintendo games all the time. It's happening all the time, guys. All those dudes in prison for emulating Nintendo games. Talk about a need for prison reform. All those dudes in prison for Nintendo games.
And the narrative right now is that, like, it's not going to happen to me. It's a legal gray area. Nintendo can't come after us all, but...
And all those things are true. If you are just emulating a game legally, at least in the US, I'm not an expert on everyone's emulation laws, but I'm an expert on my own, I think. And yes, emulating a video game is perfectly legal. Pirating a game is not. Emulating a game is perfectly legal. So no, they will not come after you for emulating a game. It's not going to happen to you if you are emulating a game. It doesn't matter how shitty a tone of voice you use when you say it, that's still the reality.
The reality is, it's happening all the time.
This would be a perfect time. Whenever I respond to you, I always say you should be putting screenshots of your sources on screen or giving us something to work with. This would be a perfect time to do that. I want just one example of a dude who went to prison in the US for simply emulating a Nintendo game. I want one single example of that.
And it will only become worse. We're already at the point where it's very difficult to do a Google search and pirate old Nintendo games, but
it's actually still very easy to do that. Like, I'll give it to you, it's not as easy as it once was, but it's still very easy.
As Nintendo introduces more and more legislation, as they start...
Nintendo doesn't introduce legislation. Nintendo cannot make laws. I have a feeling you don't actually know how any of this works.
Raiding third countries more and more, as the FBI works to subjugate every American national who wants to circumvent Nintendo's copyright protection.
It's a bit dramatic phrasing. I think the FBI has much more important things to worry about right now, other than subjugating people to Nintendo's whims. Sorry, I can't get over this. I'm Googling Nintendo introduces legislation. What do we got here? Based on search results, there is no evidence that Nintendo has introduced or drafted legislation. Good stuff, Harman. Good stuff. I'm always expecting the best from you.
You know, it is just going to get more and more insane how many emulation people are going to get completely fucked.
Yeah, you keep saying that it's happening. Sorry to cut you off mid-sentence. I'm not sorry. I don't care. I literally don't know a single instance of this happening. I guess there was that one, Italian, I think, YouTuber who got kind of screwed over by Nintendo. And, yeah, Nintendo has worked with the government to take down, a handful of piracy sites. But you seem to be blowing this up a lot more than it actually is. You can still get Nintendo emulators easily. You can still get Nintendo game files easily. And people are not en masse getting arrested or thrown in prison for emulating Nintendo games, especially not in the US.
I would not be surprised if, oh no, it's Alex is streaming one day, and then the door bursts in, and, he gets raided. He gets arrested on stream.
Yeah, I promise you Alex is not going to get arrested on stream for emulating Nintendo games. I promise you that's not going to happen.
You know, it is inevitable that this becomes normalized because emulation shills have completely deluded themselves into thinking what they do is completely 100% legal.
Okay, first of all, it is 100% legal. I'm really tired of saying that. But second of all, how fucked is it that you're actually okay with this? Like, really think about what you're saying right now. You are, like, joyous over the idea of gamers just playing video games in their house in a way that Nintendo doesn't approve of, and you're totally cool with them being literally raided and arrested for playing Nintendo games in a way that Nintendo didn't sign off on. And you're fine with it. You see nothing wrong with this. You think it's all okay because they're the shills. My God, you're an asshole. Like, Jesus Christ.
When time and time again, the courts rule against them.
No, they don't. Courts rule against piracy, but there is legal precedent that emulation, the act, is fine. And if you're going to bring up things like Yuzu or whatever the fucking 3DS emulator was called that I forget the name of right now, if you're going to bring those up, those are not the court siding in favor of Nintendo. That is Nintendo threatening a whole bunch of legal action and the emulation developers just backing off instead of going to court, because that's Nintendo's new strat. They just financially and legally strong-arm people off the internet because they don't actually have a legal foot to stand on. If they did, they would have used it already. That's what I keep saying to people. If Nintendo, in all of their open emulation and open modding hating mind, Nintendo openly hates mods, they hate user-created content, they hate emulation openly. If they had a way to legally, blanketly take care of all this, they would have done it years ago. The reason they haven't, and the reason why they have to go after individual piracy sites or individual emulators with strong-arm tactics and not actually take them down legally, take them down basically by intimidating them with millions and millions of dollars worth of legal fees. The reason they're doing that is because they don't actually have a legitimate legal argument. This is the only way they can do it. And it's fucked up that they can do that. But again, you don't see a problem with a giant corporation doing stuff like this because you like the corporation. If we changed what corporation it was, then you might take issue. And that's fucked up in itself.
The only reason you have any ground to stand on at all in America is because of the Sony versus Bleem lawsuit, which honestly, Sony probably only lost because they knew it would screw over Nintendo, so they could just use this court ruling against them.
Yes, that's definitely what happened. That's definitely what happened. The legal precedent for emulation was only set because Sony wanted to screw over Nintendo a decade or two in the future when emulation really started taking off in the mainstream. They knew that emulation was going to take off in the mainstream in a decade or two, and that's why they intentionally lost a lawsuit. No.
The emulation thing at its core really is just a cope by PC gamers.
Yeah, no, emulation is a total cope by PC gamers. That's all emulation is. Don't think about the fact that Nintendo literally sells you emulation on a daily basis. Don't think about that. It's all just a PC gamer cope. Nintendo are PC gamers, confirmed.
It is not actually true that every game is available on PC.
Well, no, we've never claimed that we've never claimed that they are. We've never claimed that every single game ever is available on PC. What we say is that if it's not available now, it will be in the future, because that's just the inevitability. There are games that aren't available on PC right now, sure. But because emulation exists, eventually it will be on PC. Eventually, someone will get it working.
What they mean when they say that is that I can pirate every game on PC easily and then emulate them all.
No, what we're saying is that as long as emulation exists, eventually all the games on the console that is being emulated will be playable on the emulator. It has nothing to do with piracy, it has to do with tech.
That's what they're saying, but what's becoming more and more apparent as the legal gray zones are cleared up.
I like how you called it a legal gray zone when you literally just referenced a cut and dry legal case with a blatant outcome. Like, that's not a gray zone. That is literal precedent. Do you think about any of the words? I keep seeing you making cuts, and I'm proud of you. I'm genuinely proud of you for starting to cut your commentaries more. I genuinely am proud of you. I think it's making your content better. Your opinions are still dog shit. The content itself is now less of a problem. Your opinions and your words being complete drivel is now the bigger problem.
And people start, getting prosecuted internationally.
Again, one single source, please.
Is that more and more, this is no longer legal. This is no longer a legal gray zone.
Okay, so where's the case? It's like I have legal precedent for my belief, but now you're saying, oh, well, it's not like that anymore. It's not legal anymore. Okay, so where's your case? My case still exists.
More and more people are getting prosecuted for this nonsense. And what's more, they 100% deserve it.
Again, you're such a fucking asshole. Look, emulation is not illegal in the United States. Nothing changed. Nintendo's just raising a bigger stink about how much they don't like it. And again, if they had legal ground to change it, they would have changed it. But they're not doing that because they can't. They have no legal ground to stand on. But also, you're such a fucking dick. You are openly encouraging people to be arrested for playing a fucking Nintendo game on their computer. You're completely fine with it. You're encouraging it.
You are not entitled to free Nintendo games because you played the games as a kid.
Okay, so let's say I buy a Nintendo game and then I rip the files onto my computer and I emulate it. Then what? Is that fine? No, of course you wouldn't be fine with that because you have a problem with emulation as a concept. I hate when people do this. They say a thing and then they back up their belief with things that aren't actually a strong defense. So then I counter with my own thing, and you still believe the first thing, even though my thing countered your reasons for believing the thing in the first place. You get what I'm saying? It's like, I hate emulation because it's piracy. And I say, well, actually, emulation isn't piracy. Yeah, well, I still hate emulation. It's like, okay, so it's not about piracy then. Why'd you bring that up?
You are essentially undermining Nintendo's business and trying to prop up a failing video game platform.
For a failing video game platform, it really does seem to bother you.
The PC, by hyping up some proprietary software that should not be legal to begin with.
Yeah, you heard it here first. Nintendo games should be illegal. I know that's not what you meant. I just like poking fun at you when you say stupid things, because you say a lot of stupid things, and I got to keep myself entertained somehow.
So what was the end result of the golden age of piracy?
Why'd you say that like Charlie from It's Always Sunny?
So what was the end result of the golden age of piracy?
So what was the result? So what are you saying here? I always clean up the bar.
From the 90s to the 2010s, when it was easy and legal to pirate Nintendo games.
I mean, it's never been legal to do it. That's been my whole point. But it's easier now. Why was the golden age of piracy in the 90s? The 2010s? It just got easier after that. What are you talking about?
What was the end result of that? Well, Nintendo had several of their best generations ever. They introduced dozens of new IPs.
When you say 90s to 2010s, are you saying like all the way through the 2010s, like stopping in 2020, or are you saying like 90 to 10? I assume you're saying all of the 90s through all of the 2010s, which again, like piracy of Nintendo games and emulation of Nintendo games has just gotten easier in the 2020s. Like it's easier now than it ever has been. But also, if you're saying that this time period that you're talking about ended after the 2010s, so it ends at 2020, and now they're having the most successful generations ever. They've had one generation kind of after the 2020s. They've like the Switch 2 generation started earlier this year. That's the only new generation that's started. So I think this was just a really weird way of wording things. I don't know why I expect any kind of proper English from you. It's just how I fill the space.
They had several profitable years, 2 decades of sheer profit.
Really? 90s to 2010s was 2 decades of sheer profit. Where was the Wii U in all this? The GameCube and the Wii U were not super profitable generations. And the Wii U had to be cut short because it was such a fucking disaster. So, major question mark here. Major question mark.
Emulation did nothing to undermine Nintendo's business model at all.
Okay, so why do you care so much? If it didn't affect Nintendo at all, why do you care?
They did not stop making money because of piracy and emulation.
Exactly. So why do you care so much? If it's not a threat to you, it's not a threat to Nintendo, what's the point? Why the vitriol? It doesn't make sense.
And that was back when it was relatively easy to pirate and emulate.
It's even easier now. I don't know what you're on about.
So what's going to happen is that this is going to continue, but more and more all the cracks are going to start being filled, and all the insects, all the cockroaches won't be able to leech off the Nintendo's brand. So what you're going to see is that Switch 2, which, by the way, is still completely unemulatable.
Hang on, I want to fact check this. Switch 2 emulator. According to emulation.gametech.wiki, there are currently no emulators for the Switch 2 that can run commercial games and or software, but there are at least 2 that are publicly in development. Which, yeah, not super surprising. The hardware just came out a few months ago. Of course, there's no functional emulator, but there's also emulators in the works. Those are just the 2 that are public about it. Surely there's more. That's kind of what I was saying earlier in the video. Just because it's not emulatable now doesn't mean it never will be. I'm really closing in on my limit with this guy. I'm rapidly approaching the limit. I want more coffee and I want to eat eggs. I want to be a boy who eats 4 dozen eggs every morning to help him get large.
The Switch 2 will continue getting killer games like Mario Kart World, like Donkey Kong Bonanza, like Kirby Air Riders, like Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave.
Did you see how long he was thinking of a 4th game? Like, oh man, all these banger games. I got game 1, game 2, game 3. Oh yeah, game 4. Oh man, you're overflowing with banger games. You had to rack your brain and twist it into a pretzel to think of fucking 4 of them.
And they will not be emulated.
They will be eventually, yes. 100% they will be emulated eventually.
There will be no emulating Nintendo software.
You really sounded like the Burgermeister from Santa Claus is Coming to Town. There will be no Nintendo emulators to the king. Sorry, I'm excited for Christmas season. I love Christmas season.
On any alternative hardware. What you're going to see is PC gamers coping about it and seething about it.
I guess that's what I'm doing right now, huh? I mean, according to him, everything is coping and seething. So, like, just, yeah, sure, I'm coping and seething by pointing out the things that you're literally wrong about. Cool. Like, I mean, as a PC gamer, I feel like I would know more about these things than you, but, you know, I could be wrong.
Like, trying to tell people that they didn't want to play that Nintendo game anyway.
Well, I mean, that's a perfectly fair reason for not wanting a game to be emulated or not caring about a game not being emulated if you didn't care about the game. I mean, I certainly don't care about games like Mario Kart World or anything like that not being emulated. Like, I don't care about the fact that I can't emulate Mario Kart World. I was never going to play it in the first place. Like, really, the only game that I can think of that I can even remotely give a shit about on the Switch 2 is Metroid Prime 4. And at this point, I don't even think I care about that. Like, it's just been so long, my hype has kind of drizzled out there. It's not like I'm starved for games. If I don't, there's like, all these Nintendo games don't really pique my interest. And there's nothing wrong with that. They're not made for me. No game is made for everyone. Just fucking cheer up a bit. Good God.
Or that it's going to come out on their hardware eventually. But the reality of the situation is they have waited 10 years for a Bayonetta 2 port. You know,
Bayonetta 2 has been emulatable for like a decade now. Like, straight up. Wii U emulator has been around for a long time. You can play Bayonetta 2 on PC easily. It's good. I weirdly prefer the first. I don't know. It's hard to articulate why. I just kind of like the vibes of Bayonetta 1 better. But no, Bayonetta 2 is absolutely playable on PC. It has been.
They have waited years for Nintendo to put all of their games on PC. And the simple fact of the matter is, it's never going to happen.
It's happening now. I'm going to shit my pants if I have to listen to you anymore. So I'm closing this window and I'm not going to think about it anymore. I'm going to whip out my Doofus Club dong for a second. But before I do that, I just want to level with you guys. This video sucks. This video sucks giant wangs. Not to get all serious and like emotional with you guys, you know, not to break character and, you know, get really human and relatable with you guys, but, you know, this video sucks big wangs. Okay, Doofus Club time. Garis, Starved, Horsey, Sun, Celerat, Zima, Max Killer, BC Gaming, Official Dregs, Die Puppeteer, Elite, Nate, Showbiz, NCNA, line up all AAA publisher as CEOs and tear their brains out. Oh no, it's Dawkins time. The Vector, Vendetta, Autry, Kev Dog 1992, Mechanical Resident, Sick Nick, Ed Omega, Mad Fox 94, XJ, Induction, Pipple Up in a Bowler Hat, Bear Brain, Stick Rider, Broken Crayon, Poor Bra for the backing, No Motorcycle Yet, Just Got My First Car, Devastator 2000, Jake Spider Monkey 1994, hashtag Ban JTech TV, Schmo from Schmettles, The Schmitz, Chris Void, Vast Dennis, Dirty Mike and the Boys, Game of Dead People, Muskie, Big Fudge, Punk Rock Groin, Reston, yeah, I don't care. Club the Penguin to JoJo 6, Multi in the Beastons, Really Zerd, Oracle, Blast 1314, Jimmy Chops, Help, Stuck in the Dryer, Step Joe, Master Killer, Firestorm 2056, Dimitri's Papa Giorno, Tom Snorlax, and Dan Porter Bridges, Unknown 186718. The letter H, I call my GF bracelet because of what she likes in bed. I still don't know what that means. Eggman, Private Horror, Grimsy, Ed Shadow Bear 1789, Kisku, Unicorn Rocker, Benefondue. It's not a Boatmobile, it's your mom! Another one I don't care. Terra Train, Teen Training Horizon, and Non-Vor Law, High, Partial Mining 8. Folks out, Dokkan, 4372WX, The Gamer 127YT, All Around the 1, Doug, Nancy Smile, Snake Eyes 227, Gamer War 72, MK 296E. Whoa, my brain just processed those two as the same one. That was fucking weird. Henfire, X Machina Gamma, Elite Fire. Elite Fire. Fire has a 105 Tech Gaming, Jungle Zone, Slim Jim, Lord Baz II, Gay Local Adult with Autism, PC Gamer, Joe Last Nest, The Mode, I read those backwards, Jessica Shepard, Ricky Spower, Ricky Dabby, Autonomic Dog 49, Cream the Steel Angel, fuck Pokemon, Pokepia, all my homies play Pow Farm. I just spit all over my mic. Sergeant Jason Bond, Baron Von Varhams, Cyrus671, 2Dex940, I saw that Payday 2 video spelling mistake, lol, Lamau, Creed Warrior 23, Max Hitchev, Simulate Chat, Totally Insane, Gara, King of the Fox, Twinks, Horse, what the fuck? Do you like how my brain just processed horse in there? Horse is not in this name, but I just put horse in front of the word lover. That's where we're at with this. Gara, King of the Fox, Twinks, lover of foxy femboys. We've gone too far. Night of Cypher, ML04, Iron 6 copies of Click 2006 on Blu-ray, Wolf of Midnight. Pigby, Nisty, West Studios, Film Kraken, Own Gaming, Tariq Brown, Thornscape, Maganex, Severin, Evans, Mr. Sonny 03. It's the Kindly African YMX of Pow Pow, Donnie Weston, Nick Donegan, Nick Gob Gonson. What the fuck is wrong with me? Go Rogue Winter 919, Zach Thane, Kenny Getting Family, Hangman for Hire, Ellen Owl, Frost Crystal, Biogenesis, Floppy Pinkins 97, Mega Keys, Scruffy Scale, Ghost, Ho, Ryusagi, Vasco, Represent, On Set 94, Blue Hook, Dwayne Wagon, Mr. Techno Squeak, Jody Peters, Smitty, Waggy, Man Jensen, Nick Advertising, Gabriel Garcia, Begins, Iron American 8, Harman says on the chin, no such thing. Randy Woody, Tune Wayne, Spin Wool 7, Smelly Wrestling Geek, Retro, Wannabe Hubba, Jage, West Ability, Denchar, Rob C, Veg, Group, and Curtain Alice Packs, I'll have a kilogram of feathers, or a kilogram of steel. If you could change this kilogram of steel to feathers, would you? If you had the chance to change the kilogram of steel, would you? My god, I used to be able to do a better accent than that. That was terrible. Dislike, unsubscribe, that was shit. Oh my god, toodles.